On today's episode, we had Rick Probstein on the show, number one sports card and memorabilia seller exclusively on eBay. He's a beast. You're going to enjoy. Check it out. I grew up such a fan of sports memorabilia and sports cards, and I'm really excited that this show is both going to highlight that as well as the awesome entrepreneurs that make it all possible. Let's do it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back into another episode of Talking Shop. Today, we have a legend, an absolute legend on the show, Rick Probstein. How are you doing, my friend?
Very good. How you doing?
Doing great. Better now that you're here, quite honestly, and seeing all the cards in the background. You're currently the number one seller of sports cards and memorabilia on eBay, but I want to go back to the very beginning. We'll work our way up, but I want to ask you how you got started in sports cards. What are some of your earliest memories in the sports card space?
So I collected myself as a kid. The first set that I really actively collected was 1976. I was 7 years old at the time. And by 1981, I was doing card shows every weekend. I was doing flea markets, garage sales, buying inventory. But I did all the basic card. I grew up in Delaware, which was a very good area to be in the industry because I was sort of at the midpoint between Philadelphia and Baltimore. And I was also in close proximity to Atlantic City, all the shows there, all the George Washington Motor Lodges. So I grew up with this. I did a ton of shows as kids. So, I remember all this stuff firsthand in the 80s because I was doing it.
What were shows like back then, and how have they changed to now?
Well, you didn't have to worry about social distancing. It was a great industry. The whole industry ran through card shows. So in today's world, there's people that are very active in the industry and they've never been to one card show, or the only card show they go to is the National. So I grew up setting up at card shows with your glass display case and your Windex and all that stuff. And people were more collectors then than they were investors. The investing part didn't really take off until later. But in the early 80s, people were either sort of year collectors. They were building a 56 top set, or they were Roberto Clemente collectors. They were collectors of specific things.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. What do you think made investing a thing in the sports card space? Was there one specific set, or did somebody make a lot of money? What do you think kind of kicked that off?
The very beginning of it, actually, there was a catalog. Mail order catalog, a physical catalog called Renato Galasso. And they were the first person to really start promote investing in the sense that you could now buy, 5,000 Cal Ripken rookies for 75 cents each. And they had this massive warehouse in Brooklyn, and they would break down hundreds and hundreds of cases. I went to their office one time. They had like 15 people just stacking cards. And that was really the first time in the industry where you could just pick a player and start investing in large quantities of that player. And these cards weren't graded then. They were all raw. And I remember myself, I bought 500 Cal Ripken rookies, and then he won Rookie of the Year, and I sold them. And then I bought another 500, and then he won MVP, and I sold them. And you were able to sort of, it became an investment business as a result of their ability to, get people large amounts of inventory. That was really the first time. In the 70s, there was a couple things going on, but it wasn't an investment level.
Got it.
More production. Yeah.
So you said you were buying and then eventually selling cards when you were, super young in Delaware. At what point did that turn into a legitimate business, or did you decide that you wanted to make it somewhat of a business?
So I obviously I did other things. Like I went to high school, I went to college. So
Yes.
My parents haven't given me any money since age 12, which is a little unique.
That's amazing.
Yeah, when I was like 12, I think I did like 35,000, which as a 12-year-old back then, if you wanted to buy an Atari Pac-Man, you like could load up and do it. That was like the thing. So today it's not a lot of money at all, but back then it was a lot of money. When I was in college, I used selling cards whenever I could to pay for all my expenses in college. And then when I graduated college, I started selling cards full time. That was my first position. And, I've done other things professionally as well from time to time. But, now obviously this is what I do full time.
At age 12, who were you selling to? Because I know you weren't selling to other classmates.
No, 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 no. I was doing very well with my classmates trading for them because they just were uneducated. So like the 1977 Star Wars pornographic card with the Photoshop, the famous error card. I assume you
I
know
know
that
about
one.
it. Yeah.
Where he's happy to see you. So I would go through my friends' boxes and I would trade them. I'd be like, hey, I'll give you 3 Star Wars cards for that card. And they're like, yeah, I don't like that card. I have 4 of them. And I would, okay, I just made $12, um, back in the day. Say your question again.
No, that pretty much answers it. I was just wondering kind of who you were selling to at this
Well,
point.
I saw the card shows. So people would literally come to the card shows, and I would, on an average weekend for me, I was making anywhere between $800 and $1,500 a weekend as a kid at card shows that we did. And my father, I did the business with my father. My father would drive me, and then he would set up, and he would get involved, and it was a nice bonding time for my father and I would spend a lot of time, doing card shows together as kids.
And then I read online that business really started because you had too many cards in your house and that your wife forced you to get an office space. What is the story behind that?
That's a cute story. So I was working out of my basement, like a lot of people do. They start in their home, and there was one big room in the basement, and that was full. And I was sort of like getting a little bit busier, so I was moving into the laundry room, which was not my domain, and I would put the better stuff in the washer and dryer because it was closed, and then we'd go back in, and then I would work on it as the day goes. And then one day my wife changed her schedule and she came down a couple hours early to do the laundry. She opens it up and there are baseball cards in the washer and dryer. And she's like, sweetie, we have to have a talk. And I'm like, oh no, what do I do now? And she's basically like, listen, you're doing great. This is great. You're doing what you loved as a kid for a business. I'm happy. This is great, but you really need to get an office. This is insane that, I can't do my laundry for the kids because you have baseball cards in there, of all things, which are not exactly cohesive with the washer and dryer.
Right.
So, thank God she never made a mistake and actually ran the washer or dryer. But so at that point, I got a business. I got an office. And once I got an office, I said I'll hire more people, and then things took off and grew from there.
And now you've been through a couple offices, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, the Spaceman now is my 4th office, and we're actually in the market looking for a bigger space.
Amazing. And none of them have washing machines.
No. But we have a refrigerator and we have a coffee machine. We have other, things like that, but not a washer and dryer.
I want to talk more about your business in the sense of everything you do except a couple things is completely online.
Everything's online.
Everything's online.
Except for going to the national once a year. I mean, but I don't have my own website. I don't sell offline. I only sell through eBay. I actually have a contract with them, which stipulates that I have to sell exclusively on eBay, which, I signed my name on that.
Whoa. I didn't know they did that. That's pretty cool.
You cut me, I bleed eBay. Now, people ask me all the time, they're like, will you take $5 less if you do the transaction offline? First of all, I'm like, A, don't bother me with stupidity. But B, I just don't do it. And eBay, eBay is obviously, if I do a transaction offline, that's taking money out of my business partner's pocket, which I would never do.
Yeah, no, of course. That's super interesting. Now, how do you think eBay has changed the game? I mean, they've changed it completely, but how have you seen that firsthand as far as shifting the market?
I mean, so eBay is basically in the business of attracting eyeballs. And eBay has more eyeballs than all the auction houses combined, by far. So the people that have the catalog auctions, which everybody knows who they are, they have a distribution of maybe 5 to 10,000. I mean, eBay is 10 to 20 times that. I have a database of something like 250,000 mutually exclusive emails. It's a big database, and they're constantly drawing people in on it. Every day I'm sending invoices of the most expensive cards, and there's new people coming in. Especially now, there's no baseball card shows, and everybody's home, so we're getting attacked by new buyers and high net worth people on a daily basis that are coming into eBay as the platform.
You have a 250,000 person email list from selling on eBay?
Yes, but on my daily email that I send out to people, I only send it to about 30,000 people, because if you send it to people who are not opening your emails, then you end up getting put onto spam lists. So this is direct email. If we email people and we see that they don't open emails, we then go in and we clean up the data and we take them off. One, it's good for them, and two, it keeps it. The people who want to get the email, and the other people we take off.
Very cool. Now, how do you see eBay moving forwards, and versus new competitors? Like, I see people starting to sell on Instagram, and I see people starting to sell on other platforms. Do you think any of it even matters?
I mean, the way business goes in other industries, you want to be first to market and best to market, and eBay's both. So they have the technology that's rock solid, which is very important to people. People take it for granted. There could be other auction sites that have technical glitches. eBay does not have that problem, and the sellers are protected, the buyers are protected, and it's a platform where people feel comfortable. We take returns on anything, even bitter remorse. There's some situations where we're dealing with some people that are just taking advantage of the system, and we monitor that, and if they continue it, we block them. But in the most part, we're dealing with healthy people. It's a healthy environment for people who trade and transact. Their passion. People are collecting, people are investing. There's a lot of high-level stuff going on these days.
That's fun. I wanted to ask you a question. I wanted to ask how faith and religion plays a role in you, in your life, and in the business.
It's an interesting question. So, I mean, for me, I try and treat everybody in every situation how I would want to be treated. The only challenge to that is sometimes, like, I'm a New Yorker and I'm extremely busy, meaning like it's not easy putting up 600,000 auctions a year and having 5 kids and spending 2 hours a day doing Jewish stuff.
You are a superhero, my friend.
Not quite.
In the sports card space.
So I really do try and treat people how they, I try and post people's stuff as fast as I can. I try and pay people as fast as I can. I try and ship people's stuff as fast as I can. We try and describe everything the best we can. We're not perfect. We're not flawless. But I try and do it how I want to be treated myself.
That's amazing. I want to ask, do you remember the first real card, real high-end card that you sold?
What, define that, like in terms of dollar value?
What something that you were super excited about getting and making a significant profit on?
I mean, like 8 years ago, I did a sale of a Mickey Mantle rookie for $475,000. So at the time, that was like mood-changing money. Like, that put me in a good mood for the day. That's how I define things. Is
mood changing. I really like that. I've never heard that before.
Well, today I had a mood changer. I had opened up a package and I had a 86 Jordan PSA 10. So we have one ending tonight, and then we're posting another one as soon as it ends. So that's like an exciting package to open. It's like, oh, there's a $90,000 card. Cool.
So ridiculous. That's amazing. Now, how much of it are you managing? Because I remember earlier you mentioned like somebody offered $5 off platform. Are you actually going in the individual auctions and responding to people personally, or is that outsourced?
I made a business decision a long time ago, which I've had a lot of very successful people be very critical of. I actually handle all the emails still today.
Whoa.
So basically what I do is I sit in front of the email and I monitor it. If it's something that's a quick reply, I'll deal with it. If it's something that somebody in the office needs to research and check out, we'll deal with it. Let's say we ship somebody 39 items and one of the items is missing or damaged. So then I have 3 or 4 different people in the office who will handle it based on whatever the criteria are, and I forward them on the email. I tell them what to do, what to handle, and make sure that it gets handled. The challenge with that is we deal with a lot of volume. So we used to get able to get back to people, say 12 hours, 24 hours. Now we're working remotely, so it could be 2 or 3 days. So people get a little frustrated because they expect a real-time response on things. But we do the best that we can, and I think most people are understanding that these are special times and things happen a little bit slower.
Totally. And I think it is super exciting as well, though, despite this pandemic, the fact that the industry has just been booming, quite frankly.
We just had a record month. We just had a record month in May, which makes no sense.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I mean, I walk down my block. I have a friend who manages a nursing home. 25 people have passed away. I have 2 friends on my block that one's an eye doctor, one's a dentist. Neither one are working until this week. I have another person who does events. He's unemployed. So it's a really crazy time. But it's been helpful in our industry. The Michael Jordan, series helped things greatly. That got things going. But there's just a larger concentration of people being home, sitting in front of the computer, and it's fueled eBay. So if you actually look at eBay stock, I don't know what it's at today, but about 6 weeks ago, it was down to $26. Now it's at $44. So analysts are going in, and they are seeing an increase in volume. And we've increased from last year at this time. Our sales are up 60-70% compared to where they were the same time last year. And it just, people are sending big cards in, daily, like real top stuff.
Real mood changers.
Well, a $5,000 card's not going to change my mood, but somebody
I understand.
Send me a Michael Jordan 10, that changes my mood.
So I'm sure that this one changed your mood. I saw that a week ago there was a Fleer buyback Jordan.
Yeah.
You guys sold for $125,000.
Yeah.
So it was one of 23. They bought it on the secondary market, and then it was re-signed.
Yeah, it's a buyback card. So what they did, the whole catch with the Jordan rookie, for those people who might not know the story, supposedly it's a kid, not an adult. A kid asked Jordan for his autograph on a card, and it was a fake Jordan rookie. And Jordan found out that the kid sold it as a real card and made money. I don't know how it got back to him exactly, but that's the story. Jordan then said, I can't tell the difference between a real Jordan rookie and a fake Jordan rookie. I'm not signing the card anymore. So that's the story, and that's the folklore of why they're so sought after. So there are specific situations where he was under contract, where he did sign some of these in a limited capacity. Most of them were done through Upper Deck, and it's basically the chocolate and the peanut butter together. People love the Jordan rookie card, number 57, and they love signed cards, they love signed items, and it's the merger of the two of them, and it's a special item, and it's serial number. So
through Upper Deck, though, they were able to get him to sign a Fleer card.
He had contract, yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
But that's
he also signed. He had a camp, a flight camp that he had, and he did signing through the camps, and he had special COAs that came out. But I don't think Jordan's going to. Supposedly he hasn't had a contract for I think 3 or 4 years, and the word is he's not going to sign another contract. I know somebody who offered him $4,000 or $5,000 a card to sign Jordan rookies, and he said no. I mean, they're over 20 grand. Even like the worst looking one is 20 grand. So
yeah,
he doesn't need the money, and
right.
He's just not interested.
He should just work directly with you, quite honestly.
Yeah.
So you started your business on Craig.
By the way, I'm a crazy Knicks fan, so I'm not the biggest MJ guy because he destroyed my Knicks, every year, and it was horrible. And the 1 year he was gone, we go to the finals, and then, John Starks just keeps shooting, and then the rest is history.
I'm a huge Knicks fan too, but I was born after that. So I missed it, which is probably a good thing, quite honestly. But at the same time, all I've seen is them being terrible.
Yeah, well, the Knicks were fantastic and they were really entertaining. And when I was in my 20s, every night that's what we did, because you went to a different bar and every TV had the Knicks on, and that's what people did. You drank, you hung out, and you watched the Knicks, lose to the Bulls. That was basically what happened.
My best Knicks memories now are like winning one game against Miami in the first round. It's brutal.
Yeah, I got you.
Not getting swept is like a highlight.
Yeah, I hear you.
So you started your business on Craigslist, if I'm not mistaken?
That's how I initially started buying. I didn't do consignments initially. I was buying from people. And I'm a little technical, and I figured out how to post in all 50 states on Craigslist. And they then changed their rules and conditions where they made that very difficult to do, practically impossible to do. But in the early times with Craigslist, I could basically put advertisements nationwide, and I figured out a way to refresh them and get them going. And I was getting phone calls from all across the country of people that were sending me product initially. And that's how I really got going.
Amazing. Growing up and even to now, do you have a favorite player to like a PC, a personal collection? Do you dabble in any of that, or is it strictly just the business?
I have a lot of high-end stuff. I have a lot of special stuff. I care more about sort of dollar value than I do, or investment potential than I do a particular player. There are definitely people that I have hoarded more inventory than others. I have a lot of Luka. I have a lot of Zion. I have a lot of Mike Trout. I have a lot of Giannis. I have a lot of LeBron. I have a lot of Michael Jordan. I have a lot of Mickey Mantle. I have a lot of unopened. Things of that nature.
That's the best investment of all, unopened and guaranteed. Especially with the industry. I mean,
you want to see some good unopened?
I would love to.
Okay, you'll give me 1 second to go to that little safe there that's open.
Yeah, no problem. Go ahead.
You watch me walk back there. What price point would you be excited?
Would I personally?
What do you want the box to be worth?
20,000.
Okay, we'll make you happy then. Hold on. I'm only gonna bring 4, but I have a lot more.
Whoa! No way.
Okay, so we got. There you go. You know what those were?
Kidding me?
Should we open one now? Okay. I have a lot of them here.
How do you have the restraint? That's my question.
Oh, not to open them?
Yeah.
I would. This is actually, I'm tempted because there is no BGS 10 Jordan. That's a gold label. That's a black label.
Yeah.
That card would be worth like $2 million. I would love to just open a box, and be the first person to get that, but I would never do that, But I have a lot of these.
Oh my goodness.
They're about.
How long ago did you buy them?
The actual value right now is probably about $125,000 a box. So before the MJ thing took off, they were about $85,000 a box. So, yeah.
But how do you make your money back on $125,000 box if a PSA 10 or isn't worth that?
Well, you buy it for a certain price and you resell the box for more money.
Right, but if theoretically you opened it.
Buy low, sell high.
You would have to pull 2 Jordans if you opened it.
Oh, you'll get 2 Jordans if you open the box.
No way.
Yeah.
Well, that's that.
I mean, I've opened these in the 80s, but I haven't opened them since the 80s. So
that's incredible.
I'm gonna put these back in the vault. So.
They're beautiful. That is one hell of a safe as well.
Yeah, that's the cheap one.
Oh, okay. Now, you showed right before we started, you showed a table that is off to your side. What is on that table?
So we separate all the cards that come in, anything that's $750 and up requires a signature confirmation if you ship them a package. So if you ship somebody a $1,000 item on eBay and it doesn't have signature confirmation, the person can claim non-receipt. And even though if there's a delivery confirmation, you would still lose the dispute. You have to have a signature confirmation. So we differentiate any card we think is going to be $750 or above, we charge more for shipping. We call it a subtitle card, meaning like it's a better card. So when I open up packages, we have one person whose job is to handle what we call the subtitle cards, the more expensive cards. Basically cards that are 1,000 and up, we can call it. You know, the 750 is really the bottom threshold. So all the cards in that table are the cards that are 1,000 and up, and the staff has access to all the inventory that we have here. But if they want one of those cards, they have to send me an email, and I pull it, confirm it, make sure we ship them the right card. Like, you know, it's a Giannis Prism rookies. I have a stack of 15 of them. So, you know, we don't want the staff to ship the wrong person, you know, Giannis Prism out to somebody. So I go and I confirm the flip, I hand it to them, you know, and obviously it's protected and it's secured.
Got it. And you mentioned that it was probably a couple $1 million on the table.
Yeah, like last week we did, I think last week we did 2.2 million. This week we're on pace to do 2.3 million. So those are the better cards. So that's, you know, between the two, there's definitely $2 million on the table.
Is there anything you can show us?
What do you want to see?
I saw some Giannis's on the table. I'm not opposed to that. Future champion, in my opinion, one day. I don't know if it'll be in Milwaukee, but dude's got will. I saw Zion in there. I saw, and this is just in the flash. I'm channeling. Who else did I see?
All right, I'll show you a couple cards.
All right. Oh my goodness.
Jordan rookies. You know.
Oh man.
So Jordan rookies for us are like vitamins. Like, you know, my mother used to take one a day. If I don't get like 3 to 4 Jordan rookies a day come in, then there's something wrong. There's certain cards that we get every day. You know, Zion Silver Prisms, Giannis, Jordan rookies, Trout updates. You know, these are like bread and butter cards that we just get in every day. I'm going to put these back because there's a lot of them.
Yeah, now I can see it's a handful, 2 handfuls.
Here's a nice one. This is a 39 Ted Williams and an 8. It's up for like 21,000 right now. It's a good card.
Whoa.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, the funny thing is there's modern cards that are 21,000 and they should only hope to be as good as Ted Williams, you know.
Right. Some like that Trout that sold the other week for almost $1 million. You'd think that, I mean.
Yeah, I was a bidder on that up to 500. And then
really
got too rich for my blood. Yeah, I think that's $1 million card one day. I think whoever bought that card made a very good investment. I didn't think it'd be $1 million card today in this market, but I was on it, and I had basically said to myself, if it goes between 475 and 500, then I think that's low, and I will go for it. And I bid early, and I stayed up to bid, and then I got too rich for my blood and took off the numbers that I thought it would go to eventually, but not now.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah.
How do you feel about investing in new players versus old players?
Well, investing in old players is not really investing because they haven't really appreciated anywhere near what the modern market has produced. So to me, you know, if you're saying investing, you're dealing with the modern market.
Got it.
Older cards, vintage cards is really like people are collecting, maybe hoarding, but not investing because they're not going up and down on a daily basis, a weekly basis. And the card market is such that it basically became a little Bitcoin-like in that card prices can change daily based on the guy's performance.
Right.
Like, Luka goes crazy and scores 40 2 nights in a row, and his cards go up 20%. I mean, it's like crazy. And then he has, sprains his ankle and he's out for 6 games, and the cards are down 40%. So you got to be really careful.
Yeah, whereas Babe Ruth isn't having a 4 home run game anytime soon.
But I mean, over time, these things have proven to be very solid investments over time. Like if you bought, Babe Ruth stuff in the 80s, 90s, or early 2000s, you did just fine compared to, alternative investments. But
Yeah, do you think it's more of like if I were to buy, let's say a baseball player, a great card from like the 50s or 60s, am I investing in the whole industry of sports cards as opposed to like if I'm buying a Zion, like I'm just hoping the guy doesn't get injured?
yeah, I mean, definitely. Most of the people that are buying most of the vintage stuff are really collectors. They happen to, they care about money, they care about the value of the cards, they care about the value of the collection, but they're really doing it because it has some sort of emotional attachment to them that some reason why they want to collect that particular year or that particular player. So there's less of an investment perspective when it comes to, those types of buyers and sellers. And then there's we have some people who just buy everything. There's people who just like can't help themselves. They'll buy a Mickey Mantle rookie, they'll buy a Giannis rookie, they'll buy unopened and open it. Just there are people who are consuming everything.
Yeah, totally. No, that's the hobby, and there are all these different ways and shapes and forms it takes. But how do you feel about stars today versus rookies today? So like the LeBron, the Giannis's, those types of guys versus Trey, Luca, Zion.
From an investment standpoint?
Yeah.
So the new guys, if Trey Young becomes Steph Curry, you can make a lot of money. But the team has to get more players. They have to win. He has got to continue to perform. Could Trey Young be as good as Steph Curry? He could. I remember when Steph Curry cards, some of his big cards that we sold for 30, 40,000, I remember when they were 3,000 or 2,000. And we're like, this guy's good. And then they started winning championships and the cards
changed everything.
Cards went crazy. So if Luca plays Trey Young in the NBA Finals 3 years from now, anybody who bought 2018 cases, those are going to be worth a lot of money. But these guys have to win too. There is definitely a point where guys' prices will be held back if they don't win. So like James Harden, it's like, okay, dude, you got game, you're scoring a lot of points, but let's see what you look like in an NBA final in Game 7 and see if you can do it then.
Yeah, and if like a Luca or Trey don't make it in the next 5-7 years, then everything starts going down.
Then you're going to have financial loss. Yeah, the rule of thumb is most of these things will roll back at some point. And if you do stupid investing, like people that bought Jeremy Lin for $3,000 or Jabba Chamberlain for $4,000.
Jabba was at 4K at one point. When?
His stuff is crazy at one point.
Why?
Because he was the dude.
Was he though?
I mean, until the freaking bugs attacked him. But
that was the best.
It was just bizarre.
I mean, I love Jabba. I'm a huge Yankees fan, but I don't remember him being the dude.
No, he was really popular at one point. I mean, he was like a top 5 New York sports celebrity at one point.
That's so funny. And I remember obviously Linsanity, but
yeah, I mean, I remember selling Jeremy Lin cards for like $3,500. I'm like, this is crazy. This card was just $3, and now it's like $3,500,
And now I mean, some of them I still see listed for relatively high, but
his best cards now are probably like $100, $200,
yeah,
maybe $500. The best stuff.
I want to know if you were able to give yourself one piece of advice when you were 12 years old selling $35,000 of stuff. What would that advice be?
So I've never owned a Honus Wagner. And I've come close on like 4 or 5 different occasions where I had the money, it was going up for auction, but it was like always like going to push me just a little bit to buy it. I remember when it was at 25,000, and I remember when it got to 75 and 100, and then it was like 300 or 400. And I don't think you could touch an ugly one now for $1 million. I think the next one's going to go strong in this market. So I never was able to secure the best card our industry offers and I had chances to do it. So going back, if I had to, I would say, listen, always invest in the best of the best. It's better to have in your portfolio, whatever it is. Let's say you have a $10,000 portfolio, $100,000 portfolio, $1 million portfolio. It's better to have 5 or 10 items or less than it is to have 50 or 500. So from an appreciation standpoint, from a just a manageability standpoint, there's guys who've just got like thousands of like decent cards that sort of don't appreciate, but they could have bought the best of the best and they didn't do it. You needed to have more stuff.
That's really great advice. Now, last question here. For those who are just getting into the industry now and they're starting to buy modern cards and they're all over the place. They don't know what to do. They're buying boxes, they're opening boxes, they're doing all these things. What would you tell them to kind of ground them and help them along their sports card path?
Well, I mean, first it depends on what the person's doing this for. If they're just looking to have fun and enjoying and collecting and they're just like kicking the tires, then like go enjoy and do what you like to do. And
but for the
enjoy.
kids who are coming from like a sneaker game trying to make money in this now,
there's a lot of ways to make money in this industry now, especially with the rapid movement of players, developing. Like people go crazy on baseball prospects. I mean, guys that have no shot of being anything, and their cards are $1,000. And if you're able to follow minor league baseball and identify who people are going to jump on, you can make a lot of money. But you got to do your research and be right. I mean, I used to do this like back in the day. Like I remember Jim Tomei. He was one of the guys who I invested in 1991. And at the time, we thought he was going to be another Wade Boggs. I think in his first 200 minor league at bats, he had no home runs. So here you have a guy who hit over 500 in his major league career. One proof of a guy did steroids. His first 200 major league at bats, 0 home runs. He's a slap hitter, and then he turns into, I guess he took things that horses take, and he got bigger, and 500 home runs later. But whatever, I invested in him at the time because I thought he could be like a Tony Gwynn, Wade Boggs type of guy. And then he just turned into like a monster.
That's a great way of putting it, and that's a great way to close this one out. Thank you again for coming on. I really appreciate seeing some of the stuff and looking at the safe in the background and seeing some of the cards. It's amazing. Thank you so much, and I appreciate again you coming on.
It was a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Of course.
Once again, thank you to Rick Probstein for coming on the show. It was really a lot of fun. If you've already seen it, but subscribe, drop a like, drop a comment, and I'll see you on the next episode. Peace.